to the channel. If you are new, please subscribe so you can stay updated on the content we create. And if you enjoy this type of video, please like and comment. It helps me know that you like this video. And if you had questions or comments, it helps me know what those are. So this video is specifically talking about the process of buying a house, but from the lens of my own experience. So I can't guarantee this process would be the same for every person. And in my situation, I live in Japan on SOFA status, and we decided to buy a house which we were going to be moving into pretty much right away. If you have a different situation, or like you're looking at Akiya houses that you're maybe gonna renovate, then maybe this advice is not gonna work for you. But specifically for somebody who's in a similar situation, who lives in Japan, who's not a Japanese citizen, who wants to buy a house, this is probably gonna be the most helpful for you specifically. So the first process was deciding, obviously, that we wanted to buy a house. The second process was making sure that we had the money available to purchase a house. So here in Japan, if you are not a Japanese citizen or a resident, it can be very tricky, if impossible. I don't want to say impossible. I don't like the word impossible, but it can be very tricky to get a loan from a Japanese bank or organization if you're not Japanese and you're not a permanent resident in Japan. So we didn't do that. As far as the financing was done on our own end, like pulling from savings and dealing with American banks, and then paying in cash to buy our house here in Japan. The reason that I kind of start out with talking about money is that money is kind of your, I guess, make or break, your entry point. You need to have your money situation sorted out probably before you go into the process. I think that will make things substantially easier. Not only do you need to know what your budget is, but my recommendation would be to open a Japanese bank account. If you want a video with details about how to open a Japanese bank account, that's probably a video for another day, because it took me about 3 hours to open a Japanese bank account, even with documents, all the documents that they asked for, and an appointment. It still took me a very, very long time to open the account. And to this day, I would rather go to the dentist and the DMV in the same day than go to my bank. I think it's really important to have your money set up in advance, because you're gonna be asked a lot about your finances, and a lot of times the sellers want to make sure that you're gonna have money not only ready and accessible whenever, if you make an agreement to purchase a house, but they also are gonna want to make sure that the money that you have is in the correct currency, right? Like if I gave somebody here a bunch of US dollars, it's probably gonna be pretty frustrating for them to try and deal with transitioning all that currency over to yen. Whereas if I'm saying I'm ready to go, meaning I already have the funds available and I already have them prepared in the correct currency, I'm gonna get taken a lot more seriously, and things are gonna be a lot less painful. The other thing that was like really, really important was communication. So for me, I am studying Japanese, but I don't speak Japanese strong enough to do like business transactions in Japanese, and neither does my husband. So for us, ultimately buying a house meant that we needed to have some sort of translation support, or we would have had to work with an agency that already had somebody there who could explain like contracts and stuff like that in English, because buying a house is a process of signing like contractual obligations, you know, and so somebody has to be able to explain that process to you. So in our situation, we did have someone come with us to do translation for us, and that really paid off initially. So for our situation, we did have somebody come with us to support us in translation. and explain all of the processes, and that really, really tremendously helped. I think an important thing to note is like, if you bring in an agency that is like also a real estate agency, and let's say that you're working with company A, a real estate agency, and then you bring in company B, also a real estate agency. Company A is probably not going to want to share their commission with company B. I wouldn't want to share my commission. So if you bring in a second company, company B, and they're saying they're going to translate, but they're also going to take some of the commission for the actual sale of the home from company A is not going to like that. And so we actually ended up missing out on some of the homes that we were trying to purchase because we didn't understand that unsaid rule. And no one was directly saying, hey, I work for company A, I don't want to share my commission. Is it possible that you could get someone other than company B, another real estate agency, who's gonna try and take some of my coins? Can you get somebody else who's not a real estate agency to help with the translation process? No one wanted to say that, probably because they didn't want to be rude, but it ended up costing us several homes that we were really interested in because there's a lot of like avoiding the actual issue. So I would definitely not get two agencies involved. I think that's a terrible idea. Don't do that. Other things to think about aside from that is like really follow through on communication. Haggling and bartering for like the price of the home like is not really a big thing in Japan. So if you're asking for some sort of price negotiation, I feel like it's valuable to research kind of like ways that you can go about that before going in right away. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying maybe do a little bit of research beforehand so you kind of like know what you're working with and you're not like making things awkward or making the seller feel like insulted. Another thing that I really appreciated about buying homes in Japan is a lot of the real estate agents had a lot of integrity as far as the homes themselves. Like there was one house that we were really, really interested in and we were trying to pursue it. And after some calls between the agent that's selling the house and the translator we're working with, they were like, the agent who was selling the house, he was gonna benefit, right? If he sold the house to us, he's gonna benefit from that. He told us like, oh yeah, actually the house had 60 pages worth of findings on it. There was an issue with the pipe, there's issues with the foundations. Pretty much everything in the inspection was all red flags everywhere. So like, maybe it's not a great idea to buy it. And I feel like that's an example of just like really outstanding integrity. So I really did respect and appreciate that from the Japanese agents. I felt like they were really upfront about issues with the house. Even the house that we purchased, that we ultimately ended up buying, the roads for our house, like to access our house, are very narrow. And the agent was very upfront about how narrow that the roads were and how, even to the point of like them impacting the ability to sell the house. Like people were like looking at the house and being like, yeah, but the road's here. We're not gonna buy this, you know? But they were upfront about that. They weren't just like, oh yeah, it's perfect. What? Small roads? No idea what you're talking about. You know, they were honest about it. So I think overall, buying a house was a very enlightening experience. Probably the most challenging thing about buying the house was the mistakes that we made along the way with the communication issues. Honestly, to me, those were really, really exhausting. And if it wasn't for the support from my husband, just really being patient and trying to get to the root of the issues, because I was honestly getting frustrated. If it wasn't for my husband's patience, I don't even think we would have this house, honestly. So hopefully if you watch this video, you can avoid some of the pitfalls that we got into, and hopefully this is something you could take information from and maybe work towards your own dreams. Anyways, I feel like I have a lot of editing ahead of myself because, as usual, I digress. But if you like this video and it helped you at all, again, please like and comment. If there's anything that I talked about but I didn't give you enough information to answer your specific question, please comment and I will do my best to follow up and make as many part 2s, 3s, 4s as necessary that could potentially help you, at least based on the information that I have. Probably the last thing that I didn't mention is the ways that we searched for homes specifically. There's a couple different sites that we used. I will go ahead and put those in the description below this video so that you can look at those and kind of see like real time what we were looking at. But I think those are the main things. Just be prepared for a lot of paperwork. Have someone that's going to be able to support you in translating the paperwork, and just be willing to be very flexible and open-minded, knowing that the process may not be exactly what you expect. But overall, if you are patient and you have integrity and you know, just take your time and keep going at it, things could work out for you. But again, I digress. So I think that's pretty much all I have to say. I'm gonna wrap up this video. Thank you for watching if you've got this far, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye!